Hello, friends. Welcome to today's episode. My name is Amaka, and this is Ever Lush Living. Going to my garden is always an exciting experience for me because it's so therapeutic and so peaceful for me. My dog Bella also loves it and doesn't miss any opportunity of going to the garden with me. Before getting to the garden, I stopped by to check the avocado tree in front of my house. It has so many fruits, and I needed to check it to know if they are becoming mature. You know when it's mature, when the seed inside it is shaking freely. And I saw some that were shaking, so I have to harvest them on my way back. My garden is right in front of my compound and it is fenced around, and that gives it some sort of protection against animals and against the human intruders. I came into the garden and went straight to check my cucumbers. I've already harvested much from the cucumbers, but you know the cucumbers, once they start producing, they don't stop until they are done. So you have to be on top of harvesting. The sun was up early this morning, so I had to protect my face with my sun hat. Most of the cucumbers were big and juicy, and the ones I harvested before now tasted so good. Cucumbers are one of the easiest plants to cultivate. What you just have to do is keep on top of watering and keep checking them once they start fruiting. On the days I am not rushed for time, I really take my time to admire the product. I really take my time to look at it and appreciate God for giving us such beautiful fruits. One of the best feelings in this world is harvesting your own crop. Having put in the effort and you are getting the harvest. It is so therapeutic for me. I don't know about you, but it's so therapeutic. In my garden, I have tires that I use as raised bed, and behind me here, I have one of them. Inside there, I planted zucchini and recently planted red amaranth, and they're beginning to come up. A friend gave me this particular seed to plant, and I decided to plant it, and that's the fruit here. I really don't know what it is, but she told me that she uses it to cook stews and rice and all that. Please, if you know what it is, let me know. I also have squash, golden squash or butternut squash on this trellis, and I'm checking them out. They did well and are still producing a female fruit, and I checked it out, and I saw a particular female fruit that obviously did not get pollinated. So what I do with such is I don't waste them. If I catch them on time, I use them to throw them inside my scrambled egg or something like that. The butternut squash is being eaten by what I don't know. I suspect they are birds. Look at this. And when I noticed that earlier, I had to cover up the ones that are growing because I didn't want to risk losing them to whatever is in them. So I used them shoe bags. They make excellent cover for these big fruits, and they have a drawstring that you can easily draw and secure it very well. And it also leaves enough room for the fruit to keep growing. And that is why I've been able to secure these ones. I noticed that one of the squashes has broken skin or split around the neck area. Cracking open can be caused by sudden changes in temperatures or hydration, but I don't think that will affect it. I simply covered it back. Here I was pruning a cherry tomato plant and I noticed an open female squash flower. So I decided I was not going to leave it to fate with the pollinators. I was going to hand pollinate it. So I went in search of male flower for hand pollination. I was able to find 2 male flowers on this side of the trellis, and then I cut down the outer flowers to reveal the pollens. But when I felt it, I didn't quite see much pollen dust inside it. If you have enough pollen dust, when you feel it, your palms or your finger will stain with the yellow pollens. So I had to look for more male flower, at least to improve the chances of introducing pollen into the female flower. I saw another more promising male flower. I cut it out, removed the petals to expose the anther. Now I am armed with 3 male flowers. Surely there's no way I can fail in this hand pollination. I believe so. Hand pollination is actually very simple. Just open the female flower and rub the anther of the male on the stigma of the female. When you do so, you introduce or you transfer the pollens on the male anther to the stigma of the female flower, and pollination has taken place. And if done successfully, the baby squash attached to this female flower will start growing. But if it fails, it will dry out, the flower will fall off, and the baby squash will dry out and fall off. On this side of the raised bed, I have zucchini growing, and this zucchini produces a lot of female flowers and also male flowers. But the problem is, somehow the male and female flower production are not synchronized. So most times, by the time the female flower opens, there is no male flower to pollinate it. So when this happens, I simply cut it off as I did the squash, the butternut squash. I'll just cut it out and put it in my meal because I wouldn't want to waste the baby squash. In this bed, I'm growing ginger. In the region where I live, ginger has suddenly become very expensive in the market. So I decided I was going to grow lots of ginger. This is my second time growing ginger. The first time I grew it was in containers in my yard garden and they did quite well. So I am sure that these ones will do even better. And behind the ginger, I have a row of corn and they are beginning to form heads. There is a watermelon plant growing by the side of this bed. You can see it's trying to produce fruit. I think the watermelon is not doing well because it's shaded out by the leaves of the corn and the ginger. So I'm rearranging it to make it grow outwards to give it a better chance of survival. This trellis is for grapevine. I had to cover it with nets because I had a terrible experience of their leaves being eaten by night pests. Before I covered this, there was no single leaf left in the grapevines. But now you can see that one of them had already grown to a substantial size. Look at this big caterpillar in one of the leaves. It's part of the pest that is eating up the leaves. These creatures give me goose pimples, but I have to eliminate them. If you don't, they will multiply in their numbers and finish up your plants. I went on to prune the grapevine because it was developing more than 2 branches. Then I removed the weeds from the container harboring the grapevine. It was not really a weed, it was a water leaf, which is edible, but I didn't want it there because they are volunteer. Water leaves are mostly volunteer in my garden. I hardly plant them, but they grow anyhow. That's my beautiful dog, Bella. She likes the garden so much. She takes on another personality when she comes to the garden, running from one end to the other. And she makes it all fun. Doing this simple task in the garden and admiring the richness of green life around me has this unexplainable peace that it impacts in my mind. Gardening has improved my observational and nurturing skill because as I walk around the garden, I pay closer attention to the plants and realize what they need, and I just do it. I do this because I want to bring out the best performance in those plants. Not necessarily because I want to feed out of them, but because I feel them like they are living things that need to be taken care of. This is a tomato plant that I'm attaching to a stake. My tomatoes this season has not been doing well. This is the only one that looks like it will do well to some extent. I'll keep monitoring it and see. Hand elimination is one of the ways of reducing the population of pests. in the garden. Here I have a worm that is matting the upward leaf together, so I had to eliminate it and also remove the damaged leaf, at least one pest down. I went over to the higher section of the garden to harvest some kale. These kale plants have been serving us for more than 1 year now. I planted them way back in the dry season, and that was partly the reason why I had to erect a net tent around it to give it a cooler shade and also to protect it from pests. I went over to the fruited pumpkin bed to harvest some fruited pumpkin leaves. I planted them over 4 trellises, crossing 2 raised beds, and they're so prolific in production. They form a beautiful walkway in the garden that on some days that are very hot, I do some garden chores under it without feeling the heat of the sun. That's my garden reward for the day. Ain't that beautiful? I left the garden with a huge sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. My daughter had already gone ahead with the bigger basket. There is one more task to complete before entering my house, and that is harvesting the avocado. This is the first time the avocado tree is bearing. It's been around for 3 years, and it was propagated from a store-bought seedling. And I'm so surprised that it has so many fruits at the first bearing. Here shaking. Avocado is one of the most expensive fruits in the market, and here God has blessed me with abundance of it. I will definitely share with my neighbors and guests that come to my house. They ripen faster when you pick the mature ones, so I carefully selected some mature ones that have their seed shaking freely inside them when you shake them. Now my small basket is filled to the brim, and I had to carry it with both hands. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful in some way. Please remember to subscribe, comment, and give me a thumbs up. Bye, and I hope that life treats you well. See you in the next one.